Hey everyone, Joshua Hanlon here, and I am in Granger, Indiana at the Gears Robotics Center, and I'm joined by Scott Chase, who is going to take us around and give us a tour of their whole amazing operation that they have going on here. There's so much cool stuff that you have going here.
I have been coaching First Lego League for 10 seasons, and I watched my son grow up through the program, and he is now studying mechanical engineering at Trine University. I watched my daughter grow up through the program as well, and it's just been a fantastic thing. So I decided to create this community center 3 years ago to serve other youth, and we have over 150 students weekly now that are learning about engineering principles using Lego. So where we're standing now is our basic entryway, and it's where we have our classes. So typically where we're standing, we actually have a FTC program, which is for our high school students, which is a metal and plastics robotics program. But we use this for lectures and teaching people, as well as hosting camps. We have a lot of camps during the summertime that are a lot of fun for kids, where we learn basic engineering principles. But that's what this room is. We try to make it inviting when they come in. We have a lot of Lego sets that are both built by students, and then some sets that I've purchased and built myself. We have a mechanical helicopter flying right here that's off of an old train motor up there, and some other things just to make it fun and inviting. One of the things that's really neat about the First Lego League is we're teaching engineering without scaring the kids. And the reason they're not really frightened is because of the Lego product. So as much Legos I can have on this level, it just gets their anxiety down, and then we're able to really teach them.
So it's a nice kind of segue going from Lego into the engineering and not just trying to launch them right into the more complicated stuff.
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Yeah, that works really well. So then we've got a nice build area over here if we want to talk about this and kind of what this area is used for.
Our First Lego League is for 4th grade through 8th grade. And we noticed in our previous facility, I just coached a team, but they would bring in their younger siblings, and the kids didn't have anything to do while they were waiting for their brothers and sisters. And we didn't want to distract them. So we created this table here and built it right into the wall. We painted it with Lego base plate gray, matched it from the local Sherwin-Williams, and then we put in these totes that are all color sorted. So the students come in and they build all sorts of creations and have fun with that and relax while their brothers and sisters are upstairs working on the harder part.
Yeah, so it gets them building everything, and you've got some sets and stuff. I like the Sydney Opera House here, and it looks like you've even got the photo from a trip there as well.
That is correct. So the 4 gentlemen featured in the picture here are from one of our high school robotics teams, and they were invited to represent Indiana in Australia. And while there, we obviously got to see the Opera House, and we took a picture of the students in front of it. When they retired, they all went to college, but when they retired, the parents chipped in and bought me this set. And so it was a lot of fun to build it, and it's really neat to compare. You can really see that they were standing on this back terrace and how accurate the model is to the actual Opera House. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, those architecture sets are always very impressive.
And then these sets here are some of the robot sets that we use. The EV3 is our core set that we use for our First Lego League program. We also have a First Lego League Junior program, which is for our 1st through 3rd graders, and that uses the We Do 2.0. And both of these are from Lego Education. Just this past summer in June, Lego Group introduced the Boost. The Boost is a really user-friendly robotic program, and we really have fun teaching with it. Both of these are built right from the models, the instruction models, but it's very intuitive. It uses iPads, and just yesterday we were at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago with all of these robots, and we use iPads to program, and the students just, the patrons from the museum just grab the iPads and get the robots to move right away. It's very, very nice.
If we can just show a few of your products you've got on display here, because you've got some of the classic Lego products here.
Yeah, I like to collect some of the older stuff, especially the Samsonite Lego system. It's fun to find those when I can. The picture there in the middle from Legoland, California, that was our first team to win a state championship and was invited to go to California and represent Indiana out there. And the students won a performance award for their robot. So that's what that picture's from. The very first motor that was made is featured over here. And so we've got one of those. It's not in the best condition, but it's fun to have that on display. Mm-hmm. And then we have a cabinet over here that also shows not only some of the early Lego, including, I'm not even sure, this is like a predecessor to Duplo. I don't even know what that Lego is called. And then it's got the first minifigs that had the non-movable arms and some other things that the students have built.
Strange, like stubby minifig design there.
Yeah, see the red one in the middle over there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Fun stuff. And then the mechanical Legos, we do invest a lot in the Technic Lego because the students get to build those and find out how gear ratios work and how you can maximize string and other things in those.
So you find that building the Technic sets helps when going to create the robots on their own?
Yeah, it definitely inspires the students and teaches them building techniques.
Yeah, well, this is a great space down here, and I definitely want to point out the magazines as well here. This is really great. So you've got, all sorts of areas of inspiration. It's not just the purely Technic robotics type of stuff. You've got some fan magazines there, like Bricks and Bricks Culture, Brick Journal, some of the great Lego community magazines there. So you've got all sorts of stuff that can help inspire the students.
Yes, we want to keep them engaged, and they can't get that all from lecturing. And so definitely they sit down and then read a magazine and they see a picture, they get excited about it. And yeah, that's what they're there for.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's really great. So I think that about covers this area down here. We'll then go upstairs and take a look at stuff now. So now we're going to head upstairs here and take a look at what we have on the second level of the building. But first we're going to start with, I think every Lego builder's dream is to have a beautifully sorted collection. And this looks very nice here. So talk about how this system works.
Sure. So what we have here is a wall of pieces, all Technic, and these are the pieces that are primarily used in robot construction. The majority of these pieces here have actually been donated by our community. Through my years of Cub Scouts, I've met a lot of families, and as the students move on into college or beyond, a lot of the families ask me, would you like the Lego? I'm like, absolutely. So we clean and sort. Technique up here, the system brick ends up downstairs for our younger siblings to work with. And these pieces here are to help a team finish a robot, but not necessarily build the whole robot. There's really not enough on this wall to create a whole robot, but if they're stuck and they need a couple of pieces, that's what this wall's for.
Okay. Yeah, and it's very easy to find them when it's laid out like this. It looks like a Legoland model shop building area. I like it. And so now we reach kind of the core robotics area with the teams working here. So what all do we have here?
Sure. So we're on one of the studios now, and this particular studio is rented by Queen of Peace School. And their team, the Holy Legos, meets here twice a week. And the students are actually in tonight, and they are working on the robot. We have a major competition coming up this Sunday. And so they're doing the final touches to the robot and trying to get all their parts to work. And you can see when they arrive, they set up all their individually owned Legos around the perimeter. So this is the team's inventory. Like I said, they'll go to the community wall only to add a piece or two if they need it. But this is the materials that their school has bought for them. The students we see here, they call themselves the Holy Legos, and they are setting up their robot right now to do a mission. The way the First Lego League works is that students all around the world are every August get a brand new mat that we call it, or this field, and they get these Lego pieces and instructions. And so everything you see here is the same. And there are 32,000 teams in over 90 countries around the world that have this exact same setup. Then the students are challenged to build a robot that starts inside this black arch shape here, and then runs out and executes the different things. So one of the challenges is to put a water container inside here and get the fountain, they call it, to move upward. Another thing that they're going to try to do is come down here to this faucet and turn the faucet to get the water to show here. Then there's a red piece, it's called a slingshot. They're going to try to place that there. And I believe they have do you have the well on there too? Yes. They have a well they're going to try to put in this target zone. So all the models here have not only build instructions, but have rules behind them that the students have to abide by. Beyond that, it's completely up to their imagination. And we'll visit with 3 teams tonight, and you'll see each of them solve them in different ways. So are you guys ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we can come over here then, and if you want to introduce kind of what you're going to be doing here and how this is going to work.
So this part of our attachment, we call it the cart because it is just pushed by the robot, and there's a part of the attachment drops the water into the well, and we use pneumatics with a passive switch to extend this arm to drop the slingshot in. And then Isabel can explain this portion of the attachment.
So we have the well back here, which when we leave this at the faucet, we're going to turn in there into that flower area. So when we back up after we do the flower, we're going to drop these 2 waters in. So this big one down here will make it stand, and then this one's an extra point that if we get it inside of the flower, we get 30 extra points. So then we're going to actually flush the toilet with this flusher, and then we're going to back up and put our well in.
So there's the opportunity if you can build it into the robot then for kind of bonus extra points then if you do additional things along the way.
Yes.
Interesting. So then if you want to get it going here for us, and we'll see how this works. Flawless on the first one. This is where you start working through the technical difficulties.
Right. And one of the things the students have to embrace here is that we're going to learn through our failure. That is the only way we learn. And so something just went wrong, and immediately Sean, the young man who helped program this, ran back to a computer to look at the code, and he's trying to immediately deduct what just happened. So instead of everyone sitting around being frustrated that went wrong, it's how do we fix the problem? How do we fix the new challenge that we were just saw, especially before Sunday. So he's scurrying right now to get that.
You got the big competition coming up, so it has to all run well.
The normal First Lego League season is from August through, in Indiana, through December. These students, we're now in April, so these students have worked an additional 4 months on their robots. They are in what we call our off season right now, so they've been putting in a lot of extra time in getting this done. The reality is during a normal season, we don't have enough time the students don't have enough time to complete everything on the board. The other thing I should mention is when the robots run, they only have 2.5 minutes to execute as many things as they can. So as you saw this robot come out, it was trying to do multiple things in one movement of the robot because it doesn't really have time to go back to what we call base a lot of times.
So now we've got kind of the more computer related side of the competition here. So talk about some of your programming over here.
So the robot, the only time that you can touch it or do anything with it is while it's in base. So you have to program it to do everything autonomously or by itself. So because we are using the gyro sensor, we have to calibrate the gyro so it isn't drifting and it gives us the correct reading. And then we can actually use it later by using it to drive on a virtual line or a bearing. So we can say, I want to follow 0 degrees or 30 degrees or 90 degrees here, and then we can also use it to turn. And there's also something called dead reckoning, which is when you don't use any logic and you are just telling it information like go forward 0.01 rotations, which is very little, but it has nothing to go on itself. So then you later in the program do something like a gyro turn so you know exactly where you are. So you use some dead reckoning to get where you're going, and then you use logic to make sure you're exactly where you want to be.
Right.
And then you can also split off programs so you can drive forward and move your arm at the same time.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So would you say that you spend the majority of your time programming like this or working on the robot, or kind of half and half? How does that work?
You kind of have to look at the robot, and we call it shoeboxing by just pushing it out and just moving the attachments to see if they'll actually function like they're supposed to. And then we go back and do something called pseudocoding. It's when you write it down and then just put the blocks where you think they're supposed to go, and then you just tweak it and make sure it works right.
We're up here now with the washing machines, is what they call themselves. They're from Mishawaka Catholic. And this team is getting ready to go to the World Championship. They're one of 2 teams from Indiana going. And we're joined here by one of the students who's going to tell us some of the things that he's excited about in going to Detroit in just a week and a half.
Great. So if you want to introduce yourself and tell us about the competition.
All right. I'm Lucas Walter, and we all are really, really excited about Worlds because it is such a diverse and really exciting experience. We are going to be next to a team from Scotland and across from another team from Indiana, Team Storm, who competed with us in the state competition.
Okay, that's great. So you'll be interacting with students and other competitors from all over the world, then, not just from the U.S.
Yes. It's just a great opportunity, and it's amazing.
So what has your preparation been like that then, since it's the World Championships?
Well, we've been working really hard at practices like these, and it's just really great working on all of the attachments and working on our skit, and we just love working together.
How many hours a week typically will you practice as you come up to the competition?
Around three hours per week. It's really, yeah.
Yeah, so spend a lot of time trying to get everything as ready as possible. Very cool. Congratulations on getting to that competition. Yeah, that's really awesome that you guys were able to get there. So now we'll take a look, I think, at your robot as well. Yep. So if you want to explain kind of what this is going to try to do here on the board.
Sure. What this attachment will do is it will drive up and it will deliver the slingshot to its base over there. And then it will drive to the flower and it will drop a water into the flower and it will lift up the flower and doing its bonus too while putting a raindrop in the flower. And also while doing the flower, it will drop off sludge to its spot by the fruit.
Okay. Well, very impressive. Let's see it run then. There we go. So if you want to talk us through as it does each step.
Yes. We use color sensors so it can straighten out at the black line and get back on its course. So if it's off, then it'll straighten up at the black line. Right now it has just done the slingshot and it is going to do the flower and deliver the sludge to the fruit. And there it is, our flower, our bonus, and when we lift up the attachment, we will see the sludge on the fruit.
Okay, yes. Well, congratulations. It looks great. Very, very impressive. Very, very cool. And I wish you the best of luck at the competition coming up. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're joined by another team. This team is Team 1920, and they call themselves Amazi this year. This team has been competing together for a long time, and they have a little bit different strategy to their robot. Everything is what they call a drop-on attachment, so everything moves very, very quickly. They have also looked at grouping the missions together. So I believe the students are about to run this are going to try to do this quadrant of the table. And then you'll see as soon as it comes back to base, how quickly the students remove it and turn it and get ready to run the robot on the next run. As I mentioned before, you only have 2.5 minutes to try to do as many things on the table. So this strategy of grouping and quickly taking the Lego attachment off is really important.
It's almost like a NASCAR pit stop kind of thing. You're like trying to go as fast as possible to keep it running.
It certainly is. So we talk about that a lot. Yes.
Okay, well, let's see how this works then. So we've got a couple students here. If you want to introduce yourselves and talk about what we'll see.
I'm Lucas Hoffman.
I'm Nathan Landman. So what this attachment does is, what ends up happening is we have 2 arms and 2 wedges with claws in the back. What ends up happening, it fires pneumatics with a little bar right here that flicks a pneumatic switch, causing these claws to flip onto the wall, so it drives straight every time, making sure it does everything in perfect order. Then these 2 arms extend out, this tube pushing in this cover and flipping it all the way so the lock gets in, scoring us points. Then this arm reaches out to push the pipe extension back into the wall and then into its little area where it needs to score. Then these 2 wedges right here push the 2 knobs on flow up, releasing the water, and it stays here, so it makes sure it releases the water. Then it comes right here with this arm extends out with this bar, and then the entire robot backs up, releasing all the rain, and then it catches it in the net for a later mission.
Yeah, well, let's see it run then, if you can show it off.
Right.
You want to talk us through as the steps go here?
Okay, so as you can see, mentioned earlier, it's already grappled onto the wall, so Go Straight is currently just placed in the pipe extension in the flow and triggered the mechanism. And it's captured the rain and pushed that in completely, so the next mission is already ready to go within the time limit. So the next mission over here, Claw, would normally be placed on in the time limit allowed, and probably less than 2 to 3 seconds in, already be able to ready to run in a competition status.
It's like a well-oiled machine here. You guys just got it down.
Can't stop at all.
There you go. Yeah. Well, very, very impressive. So it looks like we have another attachment. So this then would come in and do some of the other steps?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So this one would do everything down in that corner over there. So it would turn the faucet down in the corner and deploy this over into the black box over there. And then this device would drop the well into the circle behind the firehouse over there.
Yeah. You can see how this comes together then. But if you want to talk about while he's setting that up, what's the structure kind of like on the inside there? Is it difficult to get this, strong enough and, get the pieces that put together the right way so that it'll move around without falling apart?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the biggest challenges we have at the start of the season. So basically one of the first things we do is we start building our chassis just to make sure that it's compatible with all of our attachments and to make sure that it can really just do everything on the board and go everywhere.
Mm-hmm. So then you can run this one?
Yep. So it's going down the wall using pneumatics as the first one. It dropped the water off in the fountain, and then it's going to go down to the faucet, and it turned the faucet on. It's going to back up, and then using a string, it's going to deploy it. Didn't deploy all the way. And then it would come back with that back in the circle, right back to base.
Okay. I like it. Thank you. Great job.
We're looking over here at the pieces that 1920 uses to construct the robot. They've been doing the First Lego League for about 10 years now. Not all these students were of age, but we've over the years collected a lot of Lego, and we're using these Plano tackle boxes to sort the Lego into the different pieces, or the different by different pieces. I'm going to have one of the students come over and kind of explain how the organization works a little bit.
Okay. So as you can see, in every box it's a little different. So down here we have like all of our gears and how different we can control different motion. And right next to it we have all of our different axles that we can connect our gears to, and all of our different axle connectors so we can create unique angles while supporting the attachments. And then we have our different pin connectors where we can put everything together so it's nice, strong, and sturdy. And then all over here we have our beams. So we have different size beams in all of our different colors so everything can match. We have unique shapes, and then we have our different angle pieces so we can get strong shapes like triangles and stuff, so everything will be supported. And then here, these are our like special pieces where they're certain circumstances where we have to use like these thinner pieces, and then of course our very beloved open frames, which we use in everything that we've built, and then just the very strong bigger pieces, and then all of our different motors and sensors.
Mm-hmm. So do you have a favorite piece or two that you find particularly useful for a lot of different things? I know you mentioned the open frames there.
Definitely the open frames. Those are my favorite piece. I think I've cost this team quite a bit of money when coming to open frames. We've gone through a couple hundred with my creations of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, this is beautifully sorted. I think every Lego fan would be envious of this here. Do you guys spend much time sorting this out when you get new pieces? Does that take time to keep it all organized?
We do order pieces quite often, and then we put them into the right bins, but it does get a little messy at sometimes while we're creating, but then we clean it up, and then we just use it again.
Mm-hmm. And what do we have along this wall here? It looks like maybe some of the bigger pieces.
So we have all of our different tires. We have all the different measurements that they use so that we can figure out how many rotations it can use to get to certain distances on the board. And then we have just like more pins and more connections, and then some tubes and some bunch of other stuff.
During the summertime, we like to offer a lot of different camps to get students excited about different engineering. The core of what we do during the school year is robotics. But during the summertime, we like to do a lot of different exploration. Last year, we did a civil engineering class, we called it. We took Duplo 2x2s, and we challenged the students to go as tall as they possibly could. And then we took regular system brick and tried to get the kids, or ask the kids to build expansion bridges, and they didn't work so well. So then on the last day, we did expansion bridges between two tables with Technic brick. And one of the groups worked together, and they came up with kind of this system here where they used a diagonal piece to support a top layer and a bottom layer together. And they got it to span about 4 or 5 feet before it started to sag a lot in the middle. So I was really excited about that. And after the camp was over, I decided to try to build one to go between these two oak posts, which is 12 feet across. And of course, we had to come up with a suspension system to do it. It is still sagging a little bit, but it's been up here for 8 months now, and I feel like it's going to stay. So
Hasn't fallen down yet.
It has not, no.
Yeah, well, that's some of the great extra kind of decorations and stuff that you have around here to add some nice flair to this, which I think you mentioned is originally a barn, and you can even see some of the stuff from the original barn still around here.
Correct. This was built in the late 1800s, all by hand. The majority of the wood is either poplar or oak, and it was built as a hay barn. And then in the 1990s, it was renovated and insulated, and running water was put in for a bathroom and a kitchenette. And then we took ownership of it 3 years ago and to turn it into a robotics studio. So we definitely like the irony of having modern robotics and engineering in one of the oldest structures in our town, too.
There you go. Combining old and new, it works well together. And then over here, we'll take a look at the trophy cabinet.
We're standing in front of some old cabinets that are full of a lot of different Lego. These students have been working together for quite a while, and they have been successful over the years. I'm joined by a young man. His name is Carter. Carter has been a part of the team for 5 years, and all 5 years that he's been with us, he has gone to international competitions. The very first robot that he won with, actually I can pull that out down here. They had to save the robot because it was the first one that they won a state championship with. And then we actually had the founder of First, Dean Kamen, signed the robot for them. So it's a really nice keepsake to put in the trophy cabinet. But I want to introduce you to Carter, who has been behind winning the majority of the awards you see here. So Carter, just tell us about your experience over the 5 years of competing in First Lego League.
I just feel that First is like a very valuable opportunity that more people, even though we already have a lot, should definitely look into, because I feel like over the past 5 years that I've been in this program, I've grown so much and I've learned so much from all of this, just through all the core values from the building and just every aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. Talk about some of the maybe more specific like engineering type skills you learn and stuff as you go along that you feel is really valuable from the program.
Yeah, so that's definitely one of the biggest things. When I came in, my brother, he was the one that kind of got me into this, and then I just learned so much about engineering, so much about programming and things like that, and it just really, it's not that it's like work, it's more just fun, but you're learning from it, which is really valuable.
What kind of advice or maybe what would you say to kids out there who think this type of building or these competitions might be too advanced for them or they wouldn't be able to handle it? What advice would you have for them as far as getting involved?
Well, everyone just has to start somewhere, and the earlier you start, the better. But even if you're, say, in 7th grade, then it's just a great program that you can start and learn from, even just from 1 year of competing in it.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Well, thank you, and congratulations on all the great competitions you've participated in here. It's really amazing. So I think that wraps up our tour of Gears here. Scott, I really appreciate you taking us all around. And so people who are interested in learning more about Gears, where would you send them? And then maybe for people who are interested in getting involved in local Lego robotics teams in their area, what advice would you have and where would you send them if they want to get more involved?
Sure. Well, first of all, Gears is everything's on the web. So we're at gears.org.in. You can find out more information about us there. If anyone's interested in the First program, including First Lego League, it's at firstinspires.org. And so there's lots of information out there on the internet for you.